good news just keeps rolling in for the Philadelphia Eagles and their passionate fan base. And today, there's even more to be excited about. Let's dive into it, because what's happening behind the scenes with this team is the kind of stuff that championship organizations are built on. At the center of it all is Jalen Hurts, the quarterback who not only led the Eagles to a Super Bowl appearance, but also continues to show why he's one of the most respected players in the NFL right now. Let's rewind a bit. After that incredible 2022 season, where Hurts nearly took home the MVP award and came within a few plays of winning a Super Bowl, the Eagles made a statement by giving him a massive contract extension. For a brief moment, Jalen Hurts was the highest-paid player in the history of the NFL. That title didn't last long, though, because the quarterback market continues to explode at an unprecedented rate. Every few months, it feels like there's a new deal resetting the bar. And as the NFL salary cap keeps climbing, those numbers keep going up. But what's really making headlines now isn't just the contract itself. It's the way Hurts handled the entire negotiation process. According to his agent, Nicole Lynn, Jalen took an approach that's incredibly rare in professional sports, especially for players at his level. Most athletes want constant updates. They want to know every little detail, every counteroffer, every bit of back and forth between agents and teams. Not Jalen Hurts. He told his agent not to bother him with the specifics. He didn't want the stress, the distractions, or the back and forth. His only request was simple: let me know when it's done. And when Nicole finally delivered the news that he had just become the highest-paid player in NFL history, his response was as humble and grounded as you would expect. Well, I didn't ask you to do all that. That right there says everything you need to know about the kind of leader Jalen Hurts is. He wasn't chasing headlines. He wasn't looking for bragging rights. His biggest concern was how the deal would impact the team's ability to build and sustain a competitive roster. He wanted to understand the cap implications, wanted reassurance that his contract wouldn't cripple the Eagles financially. And thanks to some creative structuring, including option bonuses, the cap hit for Hurts isn't as massive as you might expect for someone making over $50 million per year. This matters, and it matters in a big way. Because when you have a franchise quarterback who's more focused on building a winning team than maximizing every last dollar for himself, you're setting yourself up for long-term success. Hurts could have easily looked around the league, seen the deals being signed by other quarterbacks, and pushed for even more money. He could have gone back to the negotiating table after seeing players like Dak Prescott sign for $60 million per year, or after watching Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, and others push the quarterback market higher and higher. Let's put this into perspective. As we look ahead to the 2025 season, Hurts will be making an average of $51 million per year, which currently ranks him as the 11th highest-paid quarterback in the NFL based on average annual value. That's behind guys like Dak Prescott, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Jordan Love, Trevor Lawrence, Tua Tagovailoa, Jared Goff, Brock Purdy, Justin Herbert, and Lamar Jackson. Only Kyler Murray sits below Hurts among the top 12. What's even more impressive is that Hurts is still just 27 years old. That's typically when quarterbacks begin to hit their prime, when their mental processing catches up with their physical abilities, and when you start seeing them playing the best football of their careers. Given how much Hurts has already accomplished in his young career, the idea that his best football is still ahead of him is both exciting and a little bit terrifying for the rest of the league. Another layer to all this is how much trust Hurts placed in Nicole Lynn to handle everything. This was a groundbreaking moment for her as well. She became the first female agent to negotiate a contract of this size in NFL history. And her ability to get the deal done while protecting both her client's financial future and the team's competitive flexibility shows why she's considered one of the rising stars in the world of sports agents. Now, why does all of this matter beyond just contract figures and salary cap numbers? Simple. It's about what this mentality allows the Eagles to do moving forward. Because Hurts didn't insist on completely breaking the bank, Philadelphia has the flexibility to keep their core pieces together and build a roster that can continue to compete at the highest level. You win Super Bowls with teams, not just quarterbacks. That's the bottom line. Even the best signal callers need help, whether it's elite wide receivers, a strong offensive line, or a defense that can make big plays when it matters most. For Hurts, having guys like A.J. Brown, Devon Smith, Dallas Goedert, and now Saquon Barkley in the backfield, plus one of the best defensive lines in football, makes a huge difference. And his team-friendly contract structure is a big reason why the Eagles have been able to make these roster moves. That's not something fans should take for granted. We've seen what happens to teams that invest too much in one player at the expense of the rest of the roster. Just take a look at the Dallas Cowboys and the situation with Dak Prescott. Prescott's massive deals have made it tough for the Cowboys to maintain depth and talent across the board, and the results on the field have reflected that. In contrast, Hurts seems to get it. He understands that winning championships requires sacrifice and strategic thinking, not just from the front office, but from the players too. Remember that quote from Hurts after a game last season? "Money's nice, but championships are better." That's not just a soundbite. It's a philosophy. It's the way he operates, and it's why the Eagles are in such a strong position moving forward. What makes this even more significant is that Hurts could have easily taken a different route. After everything he accomplished last season, leading the team to a Super Bowl title, earning Super Bowl MVP honors, and proving that he belongs in the conversation with the league elite quarterbacks, he had every justification to demand a new deal or at least a significant pay bump. That's exactly what the Buffalo Bills did with Josh Allen just a year ago. Even though Allen was already under contract, the Bills redid his deal, increased his average annual value, and bumped up his guaranteed money to reflect where the market had moved. Hurts could have done the same. Nobody would have blamed him if he had. But instead, he's chosen to stay focused on the bigger picture, which is keeping this Eagles roster loaded and ready to make another championship run. And make no mistake, that attitude is contagious. When your franchise quarterback leads with that kind of selflessness and commitment to winning, it sets the tone for the entire locker room. And let's not forget, the Eagles front office deserves credit here too. Howie Roseman and company have done a masterful job managing the salary cap, identifying talent, and making sure the right pieces are in place to support Hurts. From top to bottom, this organization is operating with a clear vision, and it's paying off in a big way. While the conversation around Jalen Hurts and his contract has rightfully taken center stage, there's another storyline brewing in Philadelphia that Eagles fans should be paying close attention to. The focus now shifts to the defense, a unit that played a critical role in the team's Super Bowl run and is going through a major transition heading into the 2025 season. With Vic Fangio at the helm as defensive coordinator, expectations are high, but there's no denying the challenges that lie ahead. The turnover on this Eagles defense has been massive. Over 4,000 snaps worth of players have either left the team in free agency, been traded, or retired. That's not a small number. That's a staggering amount of on-field experience, leadership, and production walking out the door in a single offseason. Let's run down the list of notable departures. Darius Slay is now with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Milton Williams secured a big payday from the New England Patriots. C.J. Gardner-Johnson was traded to the Houston Texans. Josh Sweat found a new home with the Arizona Cardinals after landing a significant contract. Isaiah Rodgers signed with the Minnesota Vikings. Brandon Graham, one of the longest tenured and most beloved players in Eagles history, hung up his cleats and retired. Avonte Maddox signed with the Detroit Lions and by all accounts had a fantastic spring. Bryce Huff was traded to the San Francisco 49ers. Oren Burks is now with the Cincinnati Bengals. Each one of these players, at some point or another, played a pivotal role in helping lift this Eagles defense to elite status. This was a #1 ranked defense in the entire NFL last season by several key metrics. After their Week 5 bye, something clicked for this unit under Fangio. They became dominant. They allowed the fewest points per game at just 18.1. They allowed the fewest total yards per game, giving up only 288.6. They were the best defense in terms of yards allowed per play. They ranked 8th in third down defense and 6th in red zone efficiency. This was a defense that wasn't just good, they were flat-out dominant. When you pair that level of defensive performance with a top-tier offense led by Jalen Hurts, you get the kind of synergy that leads to Super Bowl championships. And that's exactly what happened, with the Eagles bringing home their second Lombardi trophy since 2017. But with so many key contributors now gone, there's understandable concern about what this defense will look like in 2025. Replacing that amount of talent and experience in a single offseason is never easy. It's the kind of roster turnover that would sink lesser teams. However, there's reason for optimism. Zach Bond, one of the returning players, offered some interesting perspective during a recent appearance on the Exciting Mike's podcast alongside teammates Cooper DeJean and Reed Blankenship. Bond pointed out that while losing so many players is tough, there's a real sense of growth and continuity among the guys who are still here. He mentioned that for many players, last season was their first year in Fangio's defensive system. Learning an entirely new scheme in the NFL is no small feat, especially when it's as complex and detail-oriented as Fangio's. But now, going into their second year in this system, the players are feeling miles ahead of where they were at this time last year. That's a huge deal. Experience in a system like this cannot be overstated. The more time players spend within Fangio's structure, the more comfortable they become with their assignments, communication, and adjustments. This familiarity breeds faster play, better reads, and fewer mental mistakes on the field. The expectation is that the returning players will step into larger roles, fill the void left by departed veterans, and continue to develop within the system. Of course, none of this will happen automatically. The coaching staff will have to work tirelessly to get the new faces and young players up to speed. The front office will need to continue to find value in free agency and through trades. Player development will be key, but the foundation is there. Fangio's track record speaks for itself. Wherever he's been, he's built defenses that are disciplined, fundamentally sound, and extremely difficult to score against. And let's not forget the leadership that remains on this roster. Players like Fletcher Cox, Josh Jobe, Nakobe Dean, and Reed Blankenship will be critical in setting the tone, both in the locker room and on the field. They've seen what it takes to win at the highest level, and their experience will be invaluable as the team navigates this period of transition. Another factor working in the Eagles' favor is their organizational stability. From ownership to the front office to the coaching staff, there's a clear vision for how this team is built and how it will continue to evolve. Howie Roseman has proven time and time again that he knows how to construct a roster that can withstand adversity and remain competitive. The Eagles are not in panic mode. They're in reload mode. While the defense continues its transition, the offense remains loaded with playmakers, and that will help alleviate some of the pressure. When you have an offense that can control the clock, sustain drives, and put points on the board, it gives the defense more flexibility and breathing room to find its identity early in the season. And speaking of playmakers, let's shift gears to the wide receiver position, where A.J. Brown is making headlines for all the right reasons. Pro Football Focus recently released their list of the top 10 wide receivers in the NFL, and Brown claimed the number one spot. That's right. According to PFF's metrics, A.J. Brown is currently the best wide receiver in football. That's an incredible accomplishment, especially when you consider the level of talent at the position across the league right now. This isn't a wide receiver era where one or two guys stand out above the rest. The NFL is stacked with elite receiving talent. From Justin Jefferson to Jamar Chase, from Amon-Ra St. Brown to Puka Nacua, from C.D. Lamb to Tyreek Hill and Mike Evans. The list of game-changing receivers is long and loaded with talent. For A.J. Brown to come out on top in this kind of environment speaks volumes about the season he just had and the overall trajectory of his career. According to PFF, Brown dominated defensive backs across the board, but what stood out most was his production against single coverage. He earned the highest receiving grade versus single coverage in the entire NFL for the 2024 season, with a ridiculous mark of 96.6. Over the past 3 seasons, dating back to 2022, he leads the league in that same category with an even higher cumulative grade of 97. That's elite, game-breaking, unstoppable production. And what makes it even more impressive is that Brown put up these numbers despite playing in an offense that was built around a strong running game. In 2022, Miles Sanders had a career year, rushing for over 1,000 yards. In 2023, even with some shifts in offensive philosophy, the ground game was still effective. And in 2024, Saquon Barkley took things to another level, rushing for over 2,000 yards. Through all of that, Brown remained a consistent and explosive threat in the passing game. Even during a 2024 campaign where he missed time with injuries, he still hauled in 67 receptions for over 1,000 yards. His touchdown production has been steady, and his yards after catch ability, contested catch rate, and explosiveness all rank among the best in the league. Watching A.J. Brown play, it's hard not to draw comparisons to some of the all-time greats. The most obvious parallel is Julio Jones, especially when you consider Brown's size, physicality, speed, and ability to take over games. Like Julio, Brown is a nightmare matchup for defensive backs. He can win with speed, power, or technique. He can stretch the field vertically, work the intermediate routes, or turn a short pass into a long gain with his run-after-catch ability. The difference is that while Julio Jones struggled at times to find the end zone during his prime years, Brown has been far more consistent in that department. And considering that Brown is still in his late 20s, there's every reason to believe he's just entering his peak years as a wide receiver. If Brown continues on this trajectory, we could be talking about a Hall of Fame career when it's all said and done. He's already gone over 1,000 receiving yards in every season he's been with the Eagles. And if he keeps putting up these kinds of numbers for the next 3 to 5 seasons, combined with what he did during his time in Tennessee, his resume is going to be undeniable. There's also a strong case to be made that Brown is already the best wide receiver in Philadelphia Eagles history. That's saying something when you think about the players who have come through this organization. But the combination of production, impact, and big game performances makes it hard to argue otherwise. Looking ahead, the Eagles will continue to lean on Brown as the focal point of their passing attack. His chemistry with Jalen Hurts is undeniable, and as Hurts continues to grow and develop as a passer, that connection will only get stronger. Defenses can try to double-team him, play zone, or bracket coverage, but as the stats show, Brown excels against all types of defensive looks, especially single coverage. And with weapons like Devonta Smith and Dallas Goedert drawing attention as well, opposing defenses are going to have some tough decisions to make when game planning for the Eagles. Do you sell out to stop the run? Do you shade extra coverage toward Brown? Do you try to bring pressure on Hurts and risk leaving your corners exposed? Whatever choice they make, the Eagles' offense is built to exploit those matchups. It's an exciting time to be an Eagles fan. Between a franchise quarterback who puts the team first, a wide receiver at the top of his game, and a defense with both challenges and enormous potential, Philadelphia is positioned to remain a force in the NFL for years to come. The road ahead won't be easy, especially with the target that comes with being defending Super Bowl champions. But with this roster, this coaching staff, and this organizational mindset, the Eagles are ready to take on whatever comes next. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest updates on our Philadelphia Eagles. And don't be shy. Share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. The NFL world is buzzing with speculation after a surprising report about MEKHI BECTON potentially making a comeback that could shake things up for the Philadelphia Eagles. The massive offensive tackle, known for his dominant presence on the line, had been sidelined due to injury, leaving fans and analysts wondering if he would ever return to form. Now, whispers are circulating that BECTON might be ready to step back onto the field, and the Eagles could be the team to benefit from his return. For months, the Eagles' offensive line has struggled to find consistency, and the absence of a player like BECTON has been felt deeply. His combination of size, agility, and technique makes him a formidable force, capable of protecting the quarterback and opening lanes for the running game. If these rumors hold any truth, Philadelphia's offensive unit might soon gain the boost it desperately needs, especially with a season full of high expectations ahead. BECTON's road to recovery has been closely monitored by experts and insiders alike. Known for his resilience, the offensive tackle has reportedly made significant strides in rehabilitation, impressing team staff and medical personnel. While no official confirmation has come from the Eagles' front office, the NFL community is abuzz with the possibility that BECTON's comeback is closer than anyone anticipated. The potential return of BECTON to the Eagles raises many questions. How quickly can he regain his top form? Will he be able to withstand the physical demands after such a long absence? And most importantly, how will his presence impact the Eagles' strategy moving forward? Coaches and players are likely preparing for all scenarios, but the excitement around BECTON's potential return cannot be ignored. As the rumor mill turns, other teams in the league are undoubtedly taking note. The Eagles, a franchise always looking to strengthen their roster, could find themselves with a significant advantage if BECTON steps back into his role. The offensive line's improvement could translate into more wins and a deeper playoff run, making this possible return one of the most talked-about developments this offseason. For now, fans will have to wait for official word, but the buzz around MEKHI BECTON's return to action is fueling hope and speculation alike. Could this be the surprise the Eagles need to challenge the NFL's elite? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain. The possibility of BECTON back in the fold has reignited excitement in Philadelphia and beyond. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Philadelphia Eagles, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.